Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. My name is Bella and we're here for another week, which is very exciting. Oh, I only have 1 week left at my job. I have 1 week left. And then I'm on to my next thing, which is incredibly exciting. I feel like last week I was scared, but now I'm excited. I feel it's funny how time, I think time it's a thing we least want to hear, but time is the biggest thing that makes things feel different. I was gonna say healer, but I'm not really healing from anything. Do you know what I mean? So it felt like the wrong word. But it's the biggest. Time for me is the thing that changes my opinion about something the most. You know, something can be really hard, and then all of a sudden it becomes so much more manageable. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who messaged me and commented on the podcast and said nice things after last week's episode, because I was scared. I was nervous. I was quite terrified, to put it bluntly. And hearing everyone's equal stories about similar situations made me feel so much less alone, and made me realize how this is all something that we are, in similar positions with and struggling. And so made me very glad to have this little community and feel, we're all going through something together. First update on the job search is that I think I have narrowed down the area that I want to get into. And the thing that really helped me with this is ChatGPT, which I was unsure about, and I'd never really used it to work out what type of job I wanted before. And when I say took time, it took me an hour of back and forth discussion. I was create me a 10-step plan about how I can get to my end goal. Let's work out what I want to do for the next 2 years. And it was really, really in depth. I'll put the actual prompts that I used in the show notes because it was brilliant. I think using ChatGPT to help you work out what life plan you want to have, a game changer. It asked me to select different words that were important to me, different ways I could prioritize this, different jobs that kind of encompass this. It was honestly a really, really thorough analysis of my life. And I think it's such an exciting way to use AI. It did make me a little bit scared how much I was letting AI know about me. But then on the flip side, I was also well, it's incredibly helpful. So now I'm thinking disease awareness campaigns, public health communicator, something community engagement. I want something people focused where I'm able to talk and chat because look at the podcast. It's something that I love doing and it's something that I really enjoy. And if I can combine that with my passion for public health and disease control and, healthcare, ding, 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 dream job. And so I'm working out what that is. And I'm excited for this little figuring it out moment. I don't want to get too set on an exact specific job because I don't have an exact specific job, but at least I have an area. Okay. It's an update and it's a progress update and it's an exciting one. It's exciting to think this is what I want to do and I'm going to work out how I can get there. Anyway, last weekend was so much fun. The last time we spoke was when I'm just going to grab my tea because it's really cold in here. Last weekend I went out on the Friday night with my sister and my boyfriend and we had so much fun. Although halfway through the night out, I did start to have a slight decline. When everything just gets a little bit too much and I was like, oh my God, I've really quit my job and I really don't know what I'm doing and I really don't have a plan. And everyone around me seemed to be feeling so successful and was hitting great things. And I just was really comparing myself and I was bringing the mood down. And I was not a happy bunny, but it passed within 10 minutes. Took myself to the bathroom. I was like, what are you doing? Your sister's here to visit you. This isn't that deep. You'll make a plan. Just because other people are succeeding doesn't mean that you can't succeed. There's not a limited amount of success in the world. You are bringing the vibes down. Had a good word with myself, came back out, had a great time. Honestly, it was so much fun. It was a great set and the vibes were really good and the crowd was really fun and it was just good. Woke up on the Saturday. This is where I think we might have gone, not wrong, but we were bold in our decision because we got straight out of the house, literally made breakfast for night, got in at maybe 3, went to bed at maybe 4, woke up at 9, made breakfast, got ready, went for a coffee and a cake, then went shopping. And then by the time it got to 12, all of a sudden I was like, guys, I need to go home. My energy levels, I'm done now. I'm so tired. And I think that's the thing about hangovers that I really haven't missed. And seeing how different I felt today, I haven't missed throughout dry Jan and not really drinking as much. I haven't missed hangovers. I have the weirdest cravings and it's always cereal. Without fail, it's always cereal. I just felt a bit, ugh. But anyway, the Saturday night came around, started to freshen up, feel a bit better. We went out for dinner at Hong Thai, which I've spoken about before. It's in Manchester and it's a Hong Kong and Thai food restaurant, mixture of the both. Delicious. It's my favorite one. You get such good portions. The staff are lovely. The service is great. It's a bring your own booze, so you don't have to pay for drinks. It's all so well priced. And so I would really recommend. We love it. Honestly, we've been so many times recently and it's delicious. I had the Penang fish curry this time though, which is different, and it was like fried fish and the sauce. It was just delicious and I really enjoyed it, and I'd kind of like to go tonight, but we're in a saving era because I, need to work out what job I want to have next. And then on a Sunday, we just had a very Sunday. Woke up, went to the gym, got a coffee, came back, went for a walk in Salford, which was nice. But I feel like there must be nicer walks because we all got the bus there and it took half an hour to get there. You'll see in this month's vlog, we got the wrong stop. It was a whole faff. It was just a bit, ugh. And so we did that. And then we came back and we went to the cinema and we watched Companion. I loved it. I think the reviews of it are going to be mixed. I thought it was really clever. If I'd have known it had robots in it, I wouldn't have gone because I don't know why, but I think I am prejudiced against robots. I just would have thought it wasn't a good film. Why is this seating weird? Okay, I know I'm not in the centre, but I didn't like you seeing the black drawers on the side, so we're moving to over here. I need to stop being a perfectionist. This is literally fine. What was I saying? Yeah, if I knew it was about robots, I think I would have not decided to go because I'd have thought it was going to be bad and I just would have been a bit like, it's going to be boring. It's not for me. And it's like a horror thriller. I wouldn't say it's that scary. I don't think it's the scary. It's not like The Conjuring, it's not like that type of scary film. But it's a really clever film. I really liked the storyline in it. I thought, it was clever and it was also a bit funny. There was a good romance story. It was just a well thought out narrative, which I think sometimes horror films lack. Some horror films can just be jump scares and then it's a bit I felt on edge for the entire time, but I don't really feel like I've watched something that good. Whereas this was kind of the flip side. I didn't feel super on edge all of the time, but I thought it was really clever and it had a lot of twists and turns in it. And so I would recommend watching it. I didn't realise at the Odeon as well, the tickets are only £5 for the cinema. That sounds like an ad. It's not an ad. Certainly I'm not getting sponsored by Odeon, but I didn't realise they were only £5, so get yourself there because honestly it was great. A very good Sunday night activity. Went to the pub, had a pint, came back, made a delicious dinner, and it was just a very, very wholesome, ticked every box Sunday. Feel like I prepped myself for the week. It was nice. And then throughout the week, honestly, all I've been doing, I think this week, is cooking incredible food. I really think I've taken cooking seriously and delicious. Some of the meals I've made this week, 10 out of 10. We made these prawn pittas, harissa prawn pittas, delicious. I made this chicken curry and this dal, which tasted like a takeaway. I'm actually a bit nervous that I'm never going to manage to recreate these dishes ever again, but insane. We made pancakes. I've made the prawn baguettes, which you guys will have seen on my story yesterday. I've had girl dinners like snacky wine and cheese bits. It's been a very good food week. And I feel like all round I've just been plodding through, being kind to myself, not putting too much pressure on myself and allowing myself the space to have a bit of a moment of figuring it out. Because I think a lot about figuring it out is putting a lot of pressure on yourself, and that wasn't going too well. And so I think this week, mentally, I've really taken a step back and I've just thought, all right, let's just listen to what we enjoy and let's work our way out through that. But let's remember there's no panic about this, there's no timer. You have time. It is okay. But anyway, on to the content part of this week's podcast episode. And this week, it is the day of love. And so, week of love. And so we're going to talk about Valentine's Day because Valentine's Day used to be my least favourite holiday ever. The anxiety going into school and it being Valentine's Day unparalleled. The thought of someone asking me to be their Valentine at school, no thank you. It was actually probably the worst thing I could have ever imagined happening. I used to make, I felt sick on the way to school that day. And the thing is, obviously it never happened. No one did that. That was an irrational fear, but I was terrified about it coming true. And I think I used to be really scared about there being attention on me. I used to be scared about, bringing attention to myself, what people would think about me, scared about what people thought about me, and scared about things that were out of my control. And I think that especially at school, I spent a lot of time being very anxious and thinking that this anxious feeling was normal. And now I'm older, realizing that this anxious feeling all the time isn't normal. And I'm proactively doing things to make that not happen. But then I had no idea. I literally just thought it was a part of everyday life. And I think that's something that as I've got older, I've learned to deal with and I've learned to kind of not accept as normal. I think when you're growing up, there's things that happen to you and, experiences and emotions and things that you feel that you just think is an everyday thing of life. And then you get older and you're like, absolutely not. I refuse to feel that anxious. I refuse to feel sick before I go to bed. I refuse to feel all of these things. I am in charge of my own life and I can make different decisions. And I think that's something that's really fun about being an adult, is having ownership over your life, is thinking this thing makes me feel bad, so I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to remove myself from that situation. I have the power to. So I think we really forget that we do have that power. You know, you're in control of your own life. You can decide the path you're on. If your path's making you miserable, you can change direction. You know, you're allowed. It's not something you have to complete ever. Anyway, back to Valentine's Day. The reason why I wanted to talk about Valentine's Day is because I think although it's a photo day, like obviously, you know, it's meant to be about like falling in love with someone and, you know, sharing your love for each other. I think it's also really important to, you know, share that love with yourself and remember that there are different types of love, because I think these days where we're commemorating something like love, it should be a day where we're all just like, this is really cute. Like, how cute is it that humans have a day where we just celebrate how much love we have for each other? Like, we're so silly. We're so silly. It's so like, oh, like if the aliens could see us and we were like, we have a day for love because we really love each other and we just want to show everyone that we love each other. Like, it's so silly and cute. And I think they should be just seen as that, as like a fun, silly little thing with not that much pressure on it. I think the danger when you're in a relationship and you start putting loads and loads of pressure on these like these different activities and stuff is that like the core of what these things are for can kind of lose their meaning. And it's not to say you can't go all out celebrating. That's not what I mean. But I think for me, focus on Valentine's Day is just like, it's just a nice day to show people that you love them. I think that's what the focus should be. It doesn't matter how big the flowers are or how many chocolates you got given or how many cards you got sent or, you know, like all of these things don't really matter. What matters is like the fact that you love someone, you're just going to tell them that you love them. It's like a cute little tradition. And I think we put too much pressure on ourselves and our relationships sometimes, you know. We think we have to have these massive, massive celebrations. We think we have to post it all over social media. We think we have to, you know, get the approval from everyone else that we're doing our relationship right by doing all of these things. And I think that creates an anxiety in a relationship. I think it creates this kind of forced pressure, like you're kind of living a pretense because neither of you really want to do the thing that you're doing. And I think that's where these types of, you know, holidays, where there is such a custom associated with it, when it's to do with relationships and the people around you, you've really just got to check in and make sure you're just doing what you want to do. You've got to remember that it doesn't really matter. It's just about you two. The things you post on social media, other people won't really care. They'll look at it for a second and move on. So you definitely shouldn't be doing anything just for the sake of that. But then on the flip side, I think in people who aren't in relationships, sometimes these days can feel a bit shit. Okay? Sometimes these days can feel hard. And it can feel, especially if that's something that you really want, it can sometimes feel really just a bit flat. It can make you feel a bit lonely because these days are days where it's really easy to compare yourself to everyone around you because everyone's being so vocal about something that they have that you want. And that can feel hard too, you know? And that can feel lonely and it can feel upsetting and it can make you feel just a bit low. But I think on days like this where we have love to celebrate and we're focusing on, you know, spending time with the people around us and how much we do love the people around us, I think it's really important to remember how many different types of love there are. And that's really why I wanted to record this podcast episode, is to remind you about how many different types of love there are. You know, there is, not there are. Because there's so many different types. And I think often there's so much focus on romantic love, but we forget the impact that platonic love can happen too. Platonic love, you know, that's a type of love that's been there. You know, that's the type of love that has been there through and through. When things have got hard, when it's 4 a.m. and you need someone to call, when things don't go to plan, that's the type of love that's there for you. Because the thing about romantic love is that although it's brilliant, exciting, and you hope you guys stay together forever, it's totally different to platonic love. Because I think when you become lifelong friends with someone, you decide, yeah, you know what, we're going to stick it out through and through. You might really annoy me sometimes and we might fall out and we might have arguments, but you know what? This is me and you. We're in this together. And I think that type of love is so beautiful because it's a type of love where you really have each other's backs. It's a type of love where you're saying, we are a team, you and me, you know, whatever happens, we are a team. And it's a type of love we should really celebrate more. But also the love of your family and the love of the different people in your life. I think there are so many different people that you can extend this love to, that if you don't have that romantic partner to extend that love to. Please don't feel low this Valentine's Day. Please don't focus on that, because you have so much love to give, you know? And I think one of the hardest things about love is that you can never feel it from someone else's point of view. You can never know how much someone truly loves you, but you can see through their actions. And I think that's some of the most like beautiful things about like platonic love and the love of your families, because you think about the things they've done for you. You think about the times they've been there for you. You think about the times when things haven't been great and they were there, when they've picked up the phone, when they sent you flowers, when they've asked if you're okay, when they've sent the check-in text, because they know, just like you know, you both are there for each other. And I think in your 20s, platonic love is so incredibly important, because although romantic love is there and it's some things that you might experience, you might not experience, although it is there, platonic love, you will. You will have people that love you. And I think sometimes we can be really quick to dismiss the types of love that we have because it's not the type of love that we want. That's not right, you know? It's not right to think that the other things you have aren't important just because it's not the thing that you want more than anything. They're of equal value too. And so I guess to wrap up this episode, what I want you to realize this Valentine's Day and this Valentine's Day week is that there are so many different types of love, you know? It shouldn't be this thing that you're hyperfixating on the fact that you don't have a romantic partner. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because there are so many different types of love to celebrate this Valentine's Day. And I love how like Galentines and Palentines and like all of these things are coming about to make these days more about celebrating all different types of love, because they're so important. And I think different types of love provide such different types of value in our lives, you know? They're important for different things. They provide us support in different ways. They're like the different colouring pencils of a colouring pack. You know, the picture's not going to look as exciting without them all. You're going to be able to draw the life you want without all of the different coloured pencils. And every single person that you have in your life is a different coloured pencil. Every single different type of love that you have in your life is a different type of coloured pencil. And I think recognizing that there are different types of love, recognizing that there are different ways that people can be there for you is also important when you are in a romantic relationship. Because I've seen this trend going around recently, and it's like, lucky because my boyfriend didn't buy me like highlighter flowers for Valentine's Day. And I think sometimes we're so quick to judge. We're so quick to put other people down. We're so quick to judge other different types of love. We're so quick to think that our love is better than someone else's, when we really have no understanding of what their love is. We have no understanding what they've been through. We have no understanding of their relationship. We have no understanding of them as a couple. We just have our understanding of what we think they are like. And I think that's something really important as you get older, is understanding that just because your friends' relationships aren't your relationship doesn't make them wrong. And I'm not talking about toxic relationships and bad, like, I don't mean that. I mean healthy ones where you just can't get it. I think it's important to remember that you don't have to get it, because it's not your relationship. What you just need to be is there for your friend and supportive and, you know, there for them if they need something, but also not really judgy all the time if they don't. You're not trying to convince them to get out of something just because it's not for you. That's not valid reason enough, because it's not your relationship, so you don't have to. And so this Valentine's Day, we're celebrating all different types of love, even if that love isn't something that we can see ourselves in, because it's not our relationship. And so our opinion on that relationship has no impact whatsoever. Just because it's not what you want doesn't mean that it's not what they want, right? And your opinion isn't better than theirs. And I think this is something that as you get older, you really have to learn, because you're going to come across a lot of different variations of things that you want but aren't exactly the thing you want. And you're going to feel judgment, and you're going to question why they've done that, and you're going to question why they don't want the thing that you want. But that's because they are a different person to you. And if we all wanted the exact same thing, the world would be very, very boring. But anyway, on to the question part of this week's podcast. I've just realised my camera is on 4% and it's about to die. And so first question for this week, Valentine's Day question section is, does it mean that because I haven't found someone, I'm not going to find someone? Absolutely not. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. If we had that attitude about everything in our life, I would achieve nothing, because so many things in my life haven't happened yet that I want to happen. And I think this is a really positive conversation to have, because we have to stop thinking that just because things haven't planned out exactly the way that we thought they were going to, doesn't mean things are going wrong. Everything teaches us a lesson. Everything teaches us something. We learn something from everything. And maybe you are just learning right now. Maybe there is something you need to learn before it happens. Maybe there is a path that you are on that you have to get through before you can get to that point. Maybe the timing just isn't right. And that's okay. Because as we've discussed this podcast episode, there are different types of love to fill your life with. And I can't wait for you to find them. But anyway, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. Make sure you're following me at Mail by Bella on Instagram and on TikTok. And I can't wait to speak to you next week. I love you.